What's going on, G-Ballers? Today I have an exciting new knife here to share with you, coming in from Ketuo. If this is your first time stopping by, welcome to GBall Vision. Drop a comment down below and let me know what your EDC is for today. What I have here for you, and I'm going to call it right now, this has the potential to be in the conversation for best buy of the entire year here in 2025. This is going to be the new Yakuza G10 from Ketuo, and they did drop a couple of different versions. One of them is going to be a satin and blue G10, a satin and black G10, and then they're also going to have one that we don't get to see a lot of, at least in my experience from Ketuo and Reich, is going to be a black wash version. Now, we're going to be looking at 14C 28N steel for all variations out of the G10 lineup. They do have a more premium version, which we'll take a look at here in a moment. That way we can see some of the differences and similarities. There's a couple of things I'm hoping, and I'm already seeing that they did with this one, that the premium version didn't have, and we'll talk about that all here in a moment. But let's just dive into the knife and see what we're looking at. We'll go with the satin one here. First off, beautiful belt satin and hand satin there combo. We have a fuller cutout and stud combination along with a front flipper here, and off the first couple of flicks they feel very good, exactly what you would expect. We are going to be looking at carbon fiber bolsters for all of them, which is a nice touch. And then we have the different colored G10s for that secondary onlay material. And the cookie on top, or the cherry on top, is going to be that they used a full length titanium backspacer and milled titanium clip on these variants. So that really makes these a lot more appetizing than, you know, if it was just a basic deep carry steel clip and a steel backspacer. You know, that's a little bit more enticing. And not only that, lefties can rejoice here. We have the option for left-hand carry, making this an ambidextrous option for carry, which is really nice. We're going to be looking at a price point of about $120 from what I've seen on these knives, and I think that is a fair price given the materials here and the build quality that we're going to be looking at from Reich and Ketuo. Now, for the people who don't know, we'll get a couple of checks here in measurements for the size of this thing. And we are going to be looking at 7 and 5/8 total. About 3 3/16 of cutting edge, about 3 1/4 of total blade. And to put that in better perspective, here's the Kaiser Drop Bear and the Vastid Raccoon for comparison's sake. And you'll see it's much larger than something like the Drop Bear is, much longer, much heftier, and it's going to be even a little bit bigger than something like the Raccoon. And two more for you. We have the Benchmade Bug Out and the Kaiser Militol. Much bigger than something like the Bug Out, of course, and it's going to be just a touch smaller on both ends than something like the Militol. And I'll bring out the original Yakuza here now so we can get an idea of what the original one looked like and brought to the table. We're going to be looking at M390, a titanium bolster, and then carbon fiber for that secondary onlay. And then they did titanium accents. You can see here we have a little bit different pivot, which I didn't notice until just now, actually. And I like the original better, but this is clean and subtle as well. So, you know, that's a little bit of a difference there. One thing I'm noticing, or one thing I noticed right away, and it's something I hope that they addressed or changed, and that is the access to the liner or lock bar. And not that the original was uncomfortable or hard to get to. I'm just calling it what it is, and there's just not a ton of access to the lock bar. Like I said, it's not hard to get to. It's just not convenient to get to, okay? But still, you know, it is what it is. Now, on the G10 variant here, we're going from a bolster frame lock in the original to a liner lock here, a recessed liner lock. And not only that, but it protrudes out just a little bit. They also chamfer and jimp that bad boy, which is a really nice touch, in my opinion. I really appreciate companies who do chamfer and jimp their liners and lock bars. I just think that it looks better. I think it feels better. I think it's just better all the way around. That's just my opinion, of course. But that is the main issue, the main issue I wanted addressed with these, because that was my only nitpick with the original. Everything else, the ergonomics, the blade shape, the materials, everything about the Yakuza is awesome. I went head over heels for this knife when it first came out, just because you have that tall Tanto blade. It's just an awesome looking knife, and it's very, very comfortable. And this new introduction really makes this knife and design very enticing, in my opinion. Let's go ahead and we'll see what this clip looks like in the pocket. And for that, we will need our 50 Ways GBall Vision Hank here, and we'll go with the black wash variant, see what we're looking at. And it's the same clip used on the original one here, and same for the back spacer, as you can see there, which is awesome. You know, this is potentially a more budget friendly knife. I won't call it a budget knife, but it's more budget friendly. And having those two accents is really freaking sweet. In my opinion, there's tons of companies putting out knives in this price point that are not giving you a titanium backspacer and pocket clip at that price. Now, granted, they might have maybe a little bit better steel, but it just kind of depends on where you land, what you want out of the knife you're looking to get, right? But this is going to carry perfectly for my personal taste. I like a little bit poking out. It's perfect to grab a hold of, get that knife out of your pocket. Retention is good on this clip. I really like the look of the clip. It feels good in the hand. The ergonomics are going to be identical on this knife compared to the original, and I carried that a shit ton, and it is extremely comfortable. I know quite a few people who went out and picked up a Yakuza, the original one, and absolutely love it. They had the same conclusion that I did. Everything is just spot on, with the exception of that access to the lock bar. Now we'll go ahead and we'll get the arch nemesis out here, and we'll give these things a weight check. I invite you all to play the game that I play, which is guessing the weight of these knives. I like to guess the weight of the new knives on the channel. I invite all of you to play along. You can put your guess down in the comments. Even if you've already left other comments, put your guess down in there, whatever you think this weighs off my description and so on. I'm going to give it a go here, and man, it feels like 5 ounces all day long, or very, very close. I think, and I'm going to go 5.1. 5.1. Oh, I'll take that. 4.8. I'll take it. And we're looking at the exact same weight for both of them. And for my grams, people, 138 grams. Now let's roll over into some measurements on this handle, and we'll also get a look at the blade here. We're looking at a 0.56 there on our handle thickness, 14.3 millimeters. So a nice thick handle. And we're at 3.5 millimeters, 138 thousandths for our blade stock thickness. And we'll just pick a random spot here on the edge. Try to get an idea. And that bad boy's coming down there around 21 thousandths and 0.53 millimeters. Let's see how these new Yakuzas cut out of the box. For that, we will need our catalog paper here. Let's check that first edge up top there. See what we're looking at. Remember, 14C. Come on, it's good. I felt it. Go to that second. Oh, yeah. Buttery sharp. Buttery. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Very good. Very, very good. There's some that I get from Ketuo and Reich that are, you know, sharp. But then there's some that are just like, damn, like very good sharp. Up there with SRM type sharpness out of the box. And if you've had an SRM straight out of the box, you know, whew, they put some good mean edges on their knives. Much like a Hogue edge. In a lot of cases, Spyderco edge, you know, some of their knives get up on that level, and these are up there with some really sharp knives. Let's go ahead. We'll see what kind of hardware they used. We'll get out our off-grid driver here, and I can already tell you T6 for the body screws there, T6 for the pocket clip screws, and T8 for the pivot there. I would like to see T8s all the way around right there. Not a thing that can make or break a knife just off of that, but I would like to see T8s all the way around, and I'm sure they may have a reason for the T6 possibly, but I'd like to see T8s all the way around. But if you have yourself a good driver and good bits, you're going to be just fine with the T6. T8s are just better though, so you know, put that in your notebook, Ketuo and Reich. But I think this is freaking awesome that they took this model. I hope they do this with more models out of their catalog. You know, bring the value train like they did with these. But, you know, 14C on the steel, maybe a little bit different handle materials, but this is a home run in my opinion. I know a lot of people are in that $100 to $150 range, you know, especially there's people that are just coming in that are looking to spend, you know, $100, maybe a little bit more. And I know at the start of my collecting and buying habits, I was trying at some points to get the most for my money, and what could I get for my money? You know, that was long before I even started making content. I just wanted to see, you know, what could I get for my money? And this is going to be up there as far as value, materials, and price, and that type of combination, what you're going to get. This is easily going to be one of the best buys of the year in this price range. There is no doubt about it in my mind. I know that Vastid has really controlled that $100 to $150 range all year, but this is definitely a worthy, what should we say? A worthy. What would that be? Like an insert into the list, right? A worthy opponent to Vastid's, you know, knives in that price range. Whatever you want to say, it doesn't really matter to me. But when I found out these were coming out and I saw a few photos of them and then I saw what the materials were going to be, I had really high hopes for this knife right here. And it definitely lived up to those hopes. But we do gotta introduce the new Yakuza brothers to the spine whacker. And that means we will get old Wacky off the toolbox. And we'll give each one of these a fair shake. See what we're looking at here. Pretty early lockup, but that doesn't mean anything. we have about 25%, I would say, and feels good. We'll give this one a couple of love taps to get us going. Very good. It sounds good. Very good. Very good. Did we? Yeah, so that's going to be a steel liner, which is what I thought. That's what I thought. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something. So steel liners, if you had that question, which is fine. We'll start out with the tip here and go light and work our way in. And those were both good smacks to get us going. Very good. Very good. And as I always say, or as I say often, we're not trying to see if we can, hammer these into a tree and use them as stair steps or anything like that. We're just making sure that the lock is not going to slip, when it faces just a little bit of adversity. That's the idea here. And in that case, they pass with flying colors. Solid job from Reich and Ketuo. Sometimes they do a 10 out of 10 banger, and sometimes they do like a 9 out of 10. It might be missing like one thing, like the original Yakuza. Wish it had better access to the lock bar there, but 9 out of 10. These bad boys at 120, I think, are going to be they're damn near 10 out of 10, a 9.5 out of 10, just for a little bit of wiggle room. But at $120, this is a sick ass model right here, and you get to pick your poison with a nice satin or a hard-working black wash. That is pretty sweet. You'll have to let me know. Is the Yakuza G10 something you could see adding to your EDC rotation or your collection? I look forward to hearing your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. Make sure you hit the thumbs up on this video. Truly appreciate it. It really helps push the video out there to more people. If you're new here and you enjoy knives and EDC, you're in the right place. Make sure you subscribe because I release videos like this every single day. I would love to have you here. Make sure you ring that bell. It'll notify you when I do release new videos, which is, like I said, every single day. I appreciate all of you. Thank you all for watching. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, rest of your night. Thank you again for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.